A non-profit organization, the eco-conscious citizens, are calling on President Akufo-Addo to stay true to his promise of dealing with the menace of illegal mining. The president, a couple of years ago, vowed to put his presidency on the line and to tackle the menace.
There are things that we just cannot allow to happen. And one of them is the heritage, the inheritance that our fathers and our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers bequeathed to us, especially the space, the Ghanaian space, which we all occupy. We have a duty to preserve it for those who are coming after us. And if our river bodies are drying up, our landscape is being desecrated, we here, leaders of our society, leaders of our nation, political leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, we have a responsibility to say no. This, we can't allow it to go on for our own common survival and the survival of those who are to come. We can't, if we allow it, we are jeopardizing our own future. The cabinet, when we decided the time had come for us to put the weight of government behind the decision to try and stop illegal mining in galamsey, when you know that the activities that they're involved in are jeopardizing the very survival of our nation, I took the decision that that would be a betrayal of the trust that the Ghanaian people put in me on the 7th of January this year. And as a result, we established this committee within the government to design a policy for us, not just to stop it, to reclaim the land, to let our rivers work again, but also to see how we can figure a way for all these able-bodied young men who are involved in this activity to find an alternative livelihood. So it's a package. It's a package that we have designed to try and bring this menace to a conclusion. I've said it in the cabinet, and perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
Well, after 7 years, the eco-conscious citizens believe that a lot more needs to be done in tackling illegal mining. Here is a report, of course, capturing the concerns of the group, which is also warning of some dire consequences for the country if the situation remains unchecked.
Conscious is warning of the impending danger galamsey poses to Ghanaians if the menace is not brought to a halt. Founder and coordinator of the group, Awula Serwah, says Ghana could soon import water from other countries if the practice of galamsey is not stopped.
Well, I mean, it's dire, and I wouldn't even say we're not expecting. We can't be bothered. I mean, the water company has warned us over and over and over again. We have been told that we face a clear and present danger. We face an existential threat. We know that as a consequence of the illegal mining, you know, the water has become so polluted that the water company is spending more and more and more money to treat the water. And the reason why they had to stop water supply to this part of the Ashanti region, that even their machines are beginning to get damaged because of the debris getting there. So the writing has been on the wall. We know it, but we don't seem to care very much. And I keep on saying that until Ghanaians become angry enough to say that enough is enough, I'm not going to sit there. If the authorities can't be bothered, I am bothered for myself and for my children. Things are not going to change.
Communications Director of Food Sovereignty Ghana, Edwin Kweku-Ando, says President Akufo-Addo has failed in his fight against illegal mining, especially when he famously put his presidency on the line to fight the canker.
It was very honorable for the president to realize how important the issue was to Ghanaians, for him to even realize that he had to tell us something like he's putting his career on the line. This is a warning to anyone who's coming to lead Ghana, whether it be Mahama or Alan Cash, Nana Bediako, who's just outdoored his positioning. It's for you to bring responsibility to the leadership of Ghana. So we expect example, and we don't expect that there will be impunity where government appointees are shaded, are protected.
Galamsey continues to wreak havoc on the environment, causing wanton destruction to nature. But the fight is not over yet. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Kenneth Jesse.
Well, it's a good time to bring in a National Coordinator for the Eco-Conscious Citizens, Awula Serwah, who's joining us via Zoom now. Thank you for your time. We've spoken so many times about this issue. I'm just wondering what else we can be doing now, just to, of course, draw the attention of the President that he needs to do more, as the experts are saying.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. One more thing we need to do is to be angry enough to make it clear that even if we have to down our tools and march to Jubilee House, we're prepared to do that. And also, it's an election year. So we need to make it clear for anybody standing for the presidency, any political party, that there are some environmental demands you need to sign up to. And that if you don't, it would affect your chances of being successful in the elections. And I know that apart from eco-conscious citizens who have worked on a manifesto, a coalition of environmental groups are also doing so. And it will be launched sometime in February. But for today, we have said that any political party that wants to be taken seriously should sign up firstly to revoking EI 144, which declassifies some parts of Achimota Forest, and LI 2462, which allows virtually unfettered access to our forest reserves, including globally significant biodiversity area. And I'm pleased that many others have joined the call. So that is fantastic. And then we also want a pause on community mining. We cannot even properly regulate the big companies. How much more the myriads of community mining, so-called community mining organizations. So we are saying put a pause on it and then enshrine a law where the community itself, where the mining is to take place, can reject the mining. And if they do so, it has to stop. And at this point, we want to praise Shatawale for not being part of the launch of community mining in the Elembele district. We also want a ban on single-use plastics. We think that we can all see what it's doing. It's clogging our gutters and it's not doing us any good. The BBC has even reported that particles are being found in the water we are drinking using the plastic bottles. We also want an executive instrument to be passed which protects our wetlands. Ghana has wetlands where there are buildings, there are all sorts of things taking place. 2nd February is World Wetlands Day, and we want the press to focus on wetlands and the importance of wetlands and other ecological areas. And we are quite clear that we need to protect them. If there are buildings on them, they need to be removed. And in addition, we need to make sure that where it's a wetland, no services such as electricity or water should be taken there for private houses, because you're not supposed to have houses on wetlands. And then finally, we're talking about noise pollution, which people don't seem to take seriously, but which can seriously affect our health. And we're saying that when more than 3 people make a complaint about noise nuisance, the facility or organization where the noise pollution is coming from should be made to stop what they are doing. And then they should be stopped from using amplifiers and so on and so forth. So there's peace in the neighborhood. And they should be stopped until the court of competent jurisdiction can testify that they are not going to cause noise any longer with the equipment they have.
And I mean,
so that's a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about having the politicians commit to tackling this menace, the point is that they could easily get away with it just for the mere fact of electioneering campaigns. We could have them put that in their manifesto, and yet they may not actualize it when they come to power.
Well, that's why we've given time frames. For example, with the revocation of EI 144 and LI 2462, we said within the first 6 months of your presidency. So it's quite clear after 6 months that they just paid lip service. So then why are you going to vote for them again? there should be no such thing as breaking the 8 or whatever it says. If they sign up to demands and then they do something else, you don't vote for them again, as simple as that.
Is that the most effective way of dealing with this?
Well, I'm not saying it's the most effective way, but it is an effective way of dealing with it. I mean, politicians want power, and they want to continue remaining in power. So you've signed up to repealing these terrible and terrible airline within 6 months. You don't do so, we make sure we don't return you to office. And there are other measures we can take. We take them, but for starters, you will not come back. So you only serve, if you are lucky, of 4 years, and that's the end of it.
And while we're at this, of course, JoyNews is still uncovering more devastation. Erastus Asari Donko just pointing out to us that there are some more forest reserves that are being depleted by, unnamed individuals going, further than we know. Looking at these revelations coming through, what do you think that perhaps the communities can also be doing to aid in the fight against this illegal mining menace?
Well, I mean, we know who some of these people are. Professor Frimpong Boateng has written his report, and nothing is being done. We have asked for a public inquiry into his report. We've also asked that the directors of Akonta Mining be made to answer for destroying parts of the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve. You see, if high flyers are wantonly destroying the landscape and we do nothing about it, then it shows that we are not serious. So for starters, these need to be done so that we see that there's something going on. But I would say that all this illegal mining will go on until Ghanaians are angry. We looked at the case of Kakumpa, where there was a talk about mining in Kakumpa. The strength of public opinion was so strong that, Minerals Commission took it off its website and said that they had no intention of granting a license. So if right now the communities begin to stop it, if they have to do citizens' arrest, whatever they have to do lawfully, they do it. If we all march to Jubilee House and say we're staying there until you use your good offices to stop the destruction of our landscape, especially, as you said, you're putting your presidency on the line, I think we'll see some result. But at the moment, we don't seem to be angry enough. We need that anger to be channeled responsibly. We don't want any violence. But at the same time, we can't just be sitting down whilst our landscape is being destroyed. And the persons who are putting their lives on the line, people like your reporter and others, I mean, they are risking their lives to bring all this to us. And what are we doing about it? We have discussions upon discussions and no arrests are being made. We know the perpetrators. What is stopping us from arresting them? So if we are not going to do that, the communities should start arresting them, effecting, citizens' arrest. And the rest of the population, for heaven's sake, should show their anger. Look at the images you are showing. I mean, it's just, I can't even find the words for that. And nothing is happening.
Yeah, nothing appears to be going on. But the point about the president putting his presidency on the line for this, he still has a year to go. Nothing at stake politically, but you're talking about the possibility of tackling this issue if we look at or perhaps revise some of the statutes that we have. Where do we start off from if we're to, at least take advantage of this window where the president is still in office and could do something in terms of revising the laws?
Well, I mean, if he had wanted to do something, he has had 7 years to do it. Of course, he can still do it, but he didn't do it in the 7 years that he had. But what we would say is that we can have demonstrations to encourage him to do it in the period that he has left, because he can then redeem himself. If he doesn't do it, then I'm afraid he'll go down in history as, I really don't want to use the words, but I think everybody knows what I'm alluding to. The destruction that he has supervised and done nothing about, but he could easily have stopped it. So he has a few months left to redeem himself. If he doesn't, the population should be angry enough to demonstrate and to take action. We cannot accept the images that are being shown. This has to stop yesterday.
Any message for our viewers now on what you would want them to do?
Yes, viewers, let's all be angry enough to do something about protecting our environment. We cannot sit idly by whilst it's being destroyed for ourselves and for future generations. Let's demonstrate. Communities, arrest these illegal miners, effect citizens' arrest, and chiefs, for heaven's sake, you are there to protect your people, not to sell the land for a mess of pottage. Do something, stop these things from happening. And congratulations to the chiefs who have stood up against illegal mining. The rest of you should follow the example and protect your landscape. You are there as a chief for a purpose, to protect your land, to protect your people. That's why you are there. Thank you very much.
Grateful. Awula Serwah is convener for the eco-conscious citizens, and even as we speak, we know that JoyNews, in partnership with the VOA and other media partners, are of course touring some of the communities, screening to them the findings we have made as part of our fight against illegal mining. We'll bring you updates in our subsequent bulletin.